The Houston Museum of Natural Science is hosting an exhibition that explores a character in history that is familiar, but often not well understood.
This exhibit is on the third floor of the Houston Museum of Natural Science, and it's all about gladiators, heroes of the Colosseum. This is a temporary exhibit that comes to us from Italy. Surprise, surprise there, right? And the topics are not just gladiators, but also history of the Roman Empire, the construction of the Colosseum, and what happened inside the amphitheater. The institution of gladiators in Rome and the Roman Empire started early on as part of a private funeral obligation where families of means would hire fighters to honor with a fight the deceased person in the family. But over time, and certainly as we get into the empire, we see a change from private obligations to a public spectacle, and politicians get involved. The fight usually involved one fighter or gladiator who represented a Roman soldier, who might not have been a real Roman soldier, but would represent Rome, and another fighter would be a traditional enemy. Initially, that might have been a real enemy captured on the battlefield and sent over to the amphitheater to fight and die. But over time, as the Roman Empire established peace and quiet, there would be no fighting. There would be no more POWs coming from a certain area because they had covered it and conquered it years ago. And so now it would be more like you will play the role of the warrior from what is now France or the warrior from what is now Spain. And so you get all of these aspects represented here as well. The growth of the Roman Empire, the role of the military, the organization behind it. Gladiators really didn't always die. It was part of a commercial enterprise. They were part of a commercial enterprise. So gladiators in general would be trained at a school which would be owned by an individual rich enough to own these slaves. But it was like a group of wrestlers, if you want. Like today in the United States and Mexico as well, you have all these professional wrestlers that put on a very good show. In ancient Rome, sometimes, yes, that would end up with death. But in general, what they wanted to do was to provide a good show, make a lot of money for the owner, sometimes get paid themselves, and then some of them, lucky enough, might actually get to be free. And so that commercial aspect was something that people might not be too familiar with. Another thing is that because they were, as individuals, as human beings, an investment, they wanted to keep them alive. They had access to the best healthcare in ancient Rome, which was not too shabby because they had very good doctors. They had plenty of people to work on, including gladiators and also military. Roman army had plenty of soldiers with broken bones and wounds, and so the Roman doctors ended up becoming very familiar with human anatomy. Another thing you might be surprised about is that these gladiators were primarily vegetarians. Not because they wanted to, but because they were fed grains, fruits, vegetables, and only occasionally meat. And they were on the chubbier side. They wanted their athletes / gladiators to be bulkier so that the body would be protected by thick layers of fat. And as you slide into the next section of the exhibit, it's all about architecture and the contributions Rome made in terms of building a structure like the amphitheater that we know as the Colosseum. They had this invention which we know as cement that goes back to Roman days. And the fact that a lot of the building is still standing is a testimony to the quality of Roman cement. They were able to move people in and out, 40,000, 50,000, or maybe more people, 60,000 people, very efficiently. 80 different gates. We could learn something from them.
Gladiators, Heroes of the Colosseum will be on display through September 4th. For more information, visit the museum's website at www.hmns.org. For Stafford Magazine, I'm Stacee Hawkins.